Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back. We are literally a mere 51 days away from the Rise of Skywalker.
51 days.
What?
But I mean, 2 weeks away from the next biggest thing.
That's right. 2 weeks away from the launch of Disney Plus and The Mandalorian. The first episode of The Mandalorian is dropping in 2 weeks. So this episode, thanks for joining us. We're going to be running through a couple things I wanted to talk about a little bit more on the Rise of Skywalker trailer that we dedicated our full episode last week to. Of course, The Mandalorian just launched a brand new trailer yesterday. Jedi Fallen Order dropped it.
Past week, we've gotten a little over a week. We've gotten 3 Star Wars trailers, basically. Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, but you know what we didn't get? Anything from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's the next biggest property coming out. I've gotten nothing.
Nothing. And then a couple other things that we'll go over as well. First off, though, I did want to just start with this, just in case people don't hang out to the end. I did want to mention that I was asked to co-host a Mandalorian podcast.
Yes.
Dedicated solely to the Mandalorian. I humbly accepted, so I am going to be co-hosting with a gentleman that I mentioned on here, Martin Donison, who is a big podcaster. He does a lot of DC shows, and Arrow podcast and Legends of Tomorrow podcast. If everybody's watching those shows, go check those out. But we are doing a podcast simply called the Mandalore Podcast, and we are going to be recording those according to the schedule, because that's another thing I guess we can talk about. According to the release schedule of The Mandalorian, the show is debuting November 12th, which is a Tuesday, first episode, and then we're getting a second episode 3 days later, on November 15th, coincidentally when Jedi Fallen Order drops that same day. And then from there, you're getting The Mandalorian every Friday, except December 20th.
Yeah.
Because that's the Rise of Skywalker.
You're going to get it the 18th that week.
You're getting it the 18th on Wednesday.
18th, yeah.
So it's a Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday, Friday. So it will wrap, the finale, season finale will be Friday, December 27th.
Right.
Before the new year, which was kind of a little bit surprising. I didn't realize it was going to fit all that in like that, but I guess.
I didn't do the calendar math on that one, but yeah.
So our plan, because Martin likes to get listener feedback, and that's going to be hopefully part of the show. So we're giving people a couple days to respond. So if you watch it on Friday, our plan is to record on Sunday nights and then release it on Monday. So look, I'm just lending my support on there. I mean, I'm glad he reached out to us and me and said, hey, you guys are very knowledgeable about this background stuff, and hopefully we are. We talk about this stuff all the time, and we read and do everything we can to immerse ourselves in this stuff. So in Star Wars, so yeah, I'm there to lend my my background on what I can, how I break down the episodes and see the episodes. Same thing. I'm going to be leaning on you, Casey, to help me on a lot of this stuff.
Because phone a friend.
Yes, exactly. Because I think there's just, what I'm reading is there is especially, have you read the headline? There's a headline out there that says a major spoiler is in the first episode of this Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard put it that way, major spoiler, but I've just heard it's going to be kind of a big moment.
Yes.
Like that, yeah. Which,
so
I don't know what. But.
I don't know either. And, but I think it's because of, and I mentioned this to Martin too, it's like because of the background of of how the Mandalorian became a series, which is the brainchild of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
I mean, they essentially they've been creating the Mandalorian history.
Yeah.
With Clone Wars and then now and Rebels and then now this show, right? So, I mean, a lot of what I think we're going to get in the show is going to harken back to those.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the craziest thing I could think of is if somehow they tie the show to some of the legacy characters from the films. That would be the craziest thing to me. I mean, it's possible, sure, but I wouldn't think that. I would think, yeah, it's more so tied to the mythology that is on the smaller screen or even the books, that kind of stuff. Jon Favreau has even said that he and Filoni look to all the other material, when trying to fit this into the mythology, which is very exciting to hear because we hear that there might be there will be some talks of the First Order's origins, which not sure how that would work. We've already, obviously we got the Mandalorian stuff, and then the trailer kind of references other things like other older movies. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. I feel like it'd be a lot of Mandalorian stuff. Like, honestly, what is realistically that could happen? I feel like the craziest thing within the realms of being realistic could be, I don't know, like a Boba Fett thing or Sabine or something like along those lines. But if it's something that the general audience would understand and would kind of freak out over, I could see it being like a Boba Fett type of thing or some kind of reference to that. I don't know if that would happen though, but. Thinking out loud.
I think the only reason I think that they're going to stay away from Boba Fett is simply because, well, I don't know.
Well, once you choose Boba Fett, it's about Boba Fett.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's almost like you can't do. You can't.
It's like why they couldn't bring Luke in the beginning of Force Awakens. Then
because it'd be about Luke. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yes.
So that's why I don't think that will happen, but. I can't think of what, I don't know, unless it's just some other cameo by a really cool character that, I don't know, like a Bosk or something like that.
And that would make sense. Bounty Hunters would definitely make sense. I think that now Bosk apparently died on the barge. That's somewhat canon.
Was Twitter canon.
But someone that did survive that is in the books is Dengar.
Yeah.
Did survive. So I totally can see Dengar showing up. Mm-hmm. We don't know what happened to, like Zuckuss or Forlom.
Right.
We know that Aurra Singh died from Solo.
Yeah.
So there's bounty hunters, that definitely. And then I think on the flip side, there's definitely Republic, people that can show up like Mon Mothma. We've mentioned that before.
Sure.
Now, could there be, I was trying to think of it, could there be recognizable Imperials that can show up? Now, obviously Admiral Piet died. We think he died on the bridge of the Executor that crashed into the Death Star.
Right.
But could they reach into could somehow could Sloane show up?
I think it's totally possible they can bring in those characters, but I wouldn't see that being the big moment.
I agree.
The spoiler kind of moment. Unless it was some other Jedi,
I think if you're so you're talking about the moment that we're
okay. What could be
I think you're onto something that I think it possibly could be Sabine.
Yeah,
I think that would be a big moment.
Definitely for us.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think anybody that was, because I think even though you may not have watched Rebels entirely, I think you know who Sabine is. I think
I don't know.
I think you know who Kanan is. I think you've at least heard stories of who Kanan is and who the Ghost Crew is. Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that shot of apparently the Ghost in The Rise of Skywalker, like everybody is talking about that. I mean, they know about the Ghost. They may not know the story of the Ghost necessarily in the show, but I think they know the Ghost.
That would be definitely... Oh my gosh. I mean, if it was truly all planned together, that would truly be the most strategic thing ever, is to have the Ghost in live action first in Mandalorian and then we'll see it a few weeks later. Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah.
to give it even more weight like that. That would be pretty impressive. But
that would be.
I don't know.
Anyway, so sidebar as we get into that here in a second. But it's simply called the Mandalore Podcast. That's the podcast that I'll be helping with on this as we break down those episodes. Of course, we'll be doing that as well on this episode because we've got to hear Casey's take on this all. But but you can follow Twitter at Mandalore Pod, and then there's a Facebook group. If you just search Mandalore Podcast, you can join the Facebook group. That's where all the discussions will hopefully take place. And on there, you can get the links to an email and stuff like that you can connect with. But Martin was actually good enough to send me the intro to the show. We just got that recorded from a friend of his, so I'm going to play that right now so you guys get a listen to how this thing's going to go a little bit. Here it is.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
It is a time of restoration. The Empire has fallen, and the New Republic begins to establish peace throughout the galaxy. But in the far reaches of the Outer Rim, where lawlessness and corruption still exist, a lone gunfighter emerges. Join Cyber Ren and Dee Vizsla as they track the adventures of the Mandalorian. This is the Mandalore Podcast.
Okay, that was the intro. Please check us out. I'm going to reach out to as many friends of ours on here to kind of spread the word. But it's just going to be really cool. I think it's going to be a really good deep dive into all kinds of stuff Mandalorian. And again, I told Casey earlier today. I was like, we saw a couple clips at Celebration. Mm-hmm. There's a couple trailers out there now. I mean, in all, I'd be generous to say that we've seen 10 minutes of it.
I mean, yeah, me and you,
right.
Definitely. 10
but there's 8 hours of footage.
Yeah.
It's not like you see 10 minutes of a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
This is 8 hours. I mean, there's so much more. So let's just get into the trailer then as we transition. So, I don't know. I've read on Twitter, and there was a couple people that tweeted us that said, "Is it wrong that I am more excited of the Mandalorian than the Rise of Skywalker?" And I responded to somebody on there saying that that's not wrong,
right?
But
you're not wrong.
I'm not. I'm over the moon excited for Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm looking forward to this in 2 weeks, but I'm definitely going to keep watching over the next 2 weeks. I will watch the Rise of Skywalker trailer more so than the Mandalorian trailer by far.
I already have. I realized today that I really have only seen the Mandalorian trailers once, maybe twice through. I mean,
yeah, you were just watching it.
There's just
right
so
now.
many things have been happening, really, that I'm already where I'm comfortable in my excitement for Mandalorian, and the trailers that have been coming out haven't been getting me more excited. Not to say I'm not. I'm very excited because and yes, you can definitely be more excited for this than Rise of Skywalker because it's literally history in the making, and that's what really is exciting me is that finally this is happening. And yes, it's 8 hours as opposed to a 2-hour movie, and then we'll get who knows how many seasons from this. So it's just the amount of content that we're going to get from Mandalorian could very quickly pass up the amount of content we have in the movie. So it's just the world of Star Wars and television, or Star Wars in a series-based platform is. I want more of it. I want as much as possible. So very excited. But yeah, this. I am more excited about Rise of Skywalker than I am Mandalorian. But but Mandalorian's closer, so I'm getting ready.
So what stood out to you in this trailer? Because I feel like the first trailer, it was just a bunch of images, one line from Werner Herzog, and this one, at least, it did have kind of the same. It had more dialogue, a little more dialogue. We finally got some words out of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But what else really stood out to you at all in this trailer?
Honestly, because you're right. It felt very much a lot of the same. That's why I didn't.
The same shots.
It did get me more excited. I'm so glad we finally got to hear him talk and we got a shot that almost makes it look like his helmet will be taken off.
Yeah.
Which it's like, what kind of, why is there so much mystery about what he looks like? I mean, granted, he looks cooler with it on, so I get that aspect of it. But are we really going to hype up the moment where his helmet comes off? Like, why would that? I'm kind of interested in why that would be, other than the fact it's just, it's like Kylo Ren taking off his helmet. You know what he looks like underneath. We all know, but it's just it helps the story to hold off until that moment. Who knows? So that kind of moment of him might be taking his helmet off was, that stood out a little bit. And then really the main thing that stood out was there was one shot where we hung on this child in this kind of not burgundy, but kind of purplish, reddish kind of robe.
Yeah.
I guess a robe, clothes. Got a couple of shots of him, but there was one in particular where it was on him. It was like kind of a wide close up, and looked like he was reaching out, kind of. Immediately I was thinking, he looks like he's using the Force. But I know there's a lot of rumors out there before we even got this trailer of a Force-sensitive kid or child. Who knows? But that stood out to me.
I failed to read that article. I don't know where that was, but
I can't remember.
Yeah, but you had read that a while ago, though, right?
That was an old rumor.
Yeah,
that was pretty old.
So that could have been one of the origins of the series and stuff like that. Which I think sounds really cool. I mean, I think the fact that there's, because this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, right?
Yes.
So, the big question, at least I think, surrounding this series and surrounding us is, what state is the government in? Right, the New Republic is trying to rebuild, but have they been? I mean, technically, this has only been 4 years. It's only been 4 years after the end of the Civil War, right? So, after the Battle of Jakku, the Imperials, whatever were remaining, have left, have gone to the unknown regions.
Right,
they've tried to establish now themselves. Mon Mothma has been deemed chancellor. That's really all we know as far as the state of the government. Now, what is the state of Force-sensitive kids and the Force? Because Luke is there somewhere. I mean, I don't know at this point, is he still searching the galaxy for these artifacts? Because, during that year after Return of the Jedi, you run into Luke in the Battlefront game where he's searching for artifacts. He ends up finding that one compass kind of tool that you actually see in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's. I don't think it's been short enough to where I think he's probably not started the temple yet and not started training. I mean, Ben's like 4 years old, right?
2.
No.
2,
maybe 2. Yeah, 2 or 3 years old. 3 years old.
Because for 2 years he was born in Battle of Jakku, so. Yeah.
So he's about 3 or 4 years old, I think, right? So he's not probably started training him yet, obviously. That's years later. So it's safe to say that the Force-sensitive kids out there in this part of the galaxy, they're not getting discovered, right? Because there's no Jedi Council that's discovering these kids and pulling them into the Order yet. Right. So the big question is that, because I do believe that would be a great storyline, but the big question is why? Why would somebody want a Force-sensitive kid if that's what his bounty is? If Warner Herzog is the one that's commissioning him to do this search, what reason would somebody have to? I mean, maybe they're valuable for something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any rare object, just collecting or trading anything that's rare like that, Force-sensitive kid. But yeah, unless...
Could it be that... I just popped in my head.
Oh.
I mean, could it be the Emperor or Snoke from the Unknown Regions wanting to gather sensitive kids to turn them?
That's the only thing that's where my mind first went is somehow what remains of the Empire once, maybe if it's not the Empire as a whole or the First Order as a whole, but maybe it's just this schism, this remnant of the Empire once weaponize some kind of force sensitive kid because they believe that's what's needed. Because obviously back up a little bit. Did the Empire didn't really know? They didn't know Emperor was Sith. They didn't know he was Force.
I don't think so.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did.
Maybe
either.
I think his closest. I think his advisors.
Maybe yeah.
I think
He did try to keep that hidden.
Yeah.
That he was.
I feel like I remember somewhere in Aftermath, like Gallius Rags. Maybe he. I don't know. Can't remember. It's been a while, but since I read it. But anyways, I'm sure these characters probably don't. This Moff character that we see, Werner Herzog, probably don't know that Emperor Sith, but maybe they think that's what the Empire needs is because obviously they probably know.
They probably know about Vader.
Yeah, so that's probably what they know. That's what we need. Someone with this kind of power.
Maybe we need another Vader. Yeah,
to mind twist. I don't know, brainwash.
Yeah,
but that's a good angle at it though, is to think of the First Orders wanting something like this, and they're going through it kind of discreetly because we can't have any public acknowledgement of the First Order until right up until Force Awakens, really, till like Bloodline timeline. So if First Order is going to be involved, then it has to be super discreet and isolated. But I can see them totally wanting, a wide search for Force sensitive kids, and this is just happens to be one that they found.
Yeah, and then the other angle is that the shot of the kid being carried by, it looks like his parents.
Yeah,
behind them, there's the super battle droid. I think it's called super battle droid.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones.
One of the big ones you saw they were in the Attack of the Clones.
I think they're different ones. They're bigger ones.
They do look like the bigger ones.
Yeah,
and you're right. I think they were just in the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, I haven't. I feel like someone out there has confirmed it, but I haven't looked into it enough. But yeah, they're definitely super battle droids. Battle droids, Clone War era droids.
So if that's the Clone Wars, which I've speculated, and again, I don't know if I've heard this or not, but I speculated that there could be a lot of flashbacks in this series. It's possible to me that this kid could be the Mandalorian as a kid.
That could be cool. Or, I mean, that would be the craziest thing. That would be the big moment to me. That would be really cool if that was the big moment where...
If he was Force sensitive?
Yeah, Mandalorian's Force sensitive.
Bam. That would be pretty cool.
That's the coolest thing. He's Boba Fett Jedi, basically. Yes. Like, that's the coolest combination that you could ever want.
Because, again, we mentioned this as we were just talking last couple of days, is that at some point, because we were talking about how that we just don't know the true story, like where this is going to go.
Yeah.
In the end, I mean, this guy has to be the good guy. He has to end up being, even though it's kind of touted that he's not, like he's the anti-hero, he's a bounty hunter, but he keeps being touted as the gunslinger. And gunslingers are actually doing good.
I mean, that's the man with no name. It's like the Clint Eastwood guy. He's got a heart of gold.
If it's Western, kind of situated, it's like it's the unknown traveler that's traveling from place to place, and doing good, and then changing people's lives, and then moving on. In the end, I think that's what he ultimately has to be. I mean, I think he ultimately has to embrace that, and what change in character could it mean for somebody that discovers, or maybe he already knows, but he's just been holding back, developing his force powers. I mean, a Mandalorian that has force powers, like that.
Well,
I mean, just saying that is
holy
like,
crap! You're really opening up the arena because there so far what I feel like is canon. There's only been one other record of a Force-sensitive Mandalorian, and that was with the origin of the Darksaber.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
And I didn't even think about it when you first mentioned it to me, but now it's...
Which was House Vizsla, I think, right?
Yeah, eventually. Yes. It passes down to Vizsla.
His name was Vizsla, something Vizsla.
I think you're right. Yeah, while you look it up. But no, it's... I mean, that is super interesting because we've often... off the show here speculated about what could the Filoni bring in from things that he's created and he and Lucas have created together. So definitely the Darksaber was one of them. Like that would be really cool if he brought in Darksaber, if he brought in Bo-Katan, these other in their clans, all this stuff. So is he Vizsla?
Tar Vizsla.
So yeah, Tar Vizsla, Mandalorian Jedi, created the Darksaber.
The first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. Yep.
Yeah. So he could totally be a Vizsla. Or just, I mean, he could be any Mandalorian, but that would be even cooler if he was a Vizsla.
I think I'm going there.
Yeah.
I think I'm going there. I think he's a Vizsla. Yeah.
So,
Because that would totally make sense because it's House. I think I looked this up before. It's House Vizsla, and then Clan Wren is part of House Vizsla.
I think you're right.
So
Bo-Katan is...
Now that's a different house. I think it's...
Is she a different one?
Well, yeah, maybe. I have to look.
Because she ultimately got the dark saber, which made her leader of
yes,
Mandalore.
Yes, that was the last time we saw.
She's House Kryze.
Kryze. Yeah, you're right. I just saw that Kryze. So there's a couple houses, and then there's a ton of clans. There's clans, and Clan Wren
Sabine
is part of the House Vizsla. So again, that's another way to bring this all together under the Filoni. I mean, I think we're starting to solve this.
Yeah, here we go. This is it. This is first season for you,
and it's getting me a little pumped up if it goes this route.
True. That's very true. I mean, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
that'd be so cool.
I mean, do you think there would be? I don't know. Do you think there'd be fans that would be disappointed at all?
I think there'd be fans. No, I don't think you'd be. I don't see how you would be disappointed.
Because there's some fans, or there's some hosts I know that I listen to too that they're more about the underworld and the Empire versus Rebels, and not so much the Jedi lore.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I think some people like that would be upset.
I mean,
they're wanting this gritty kind of.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden they bring in Force again and Jedi. I mean, I that's what I love most. So.
Yeah, absolutely, that's what I feel like is integral for a Star Wars story is somehow the Force. You don't have to be Force sensitive, but like Rogue One had the right amount of Force themes. So, but I definitely think that's what that explains why there's probably a lot of fans out there that are more excited about Mandalorian than Rise of Skywalker. Just because if you're super disappointed by the sequel trilogy, but you loved Rogue One, you liked Solo, maybe you even didn't see Solo, but you would like it if you saw it. But you probably would love Mandalorian because it looks all signs point to this is going to be gritty. Not HBO gritty, but definitely Disney gritty.
Well, I think there's a rating of TV-14.
Okay.
So it's PG-13-ish.
Yeah, I mean, hey, dudes' heads are getting chopped off in Revenge of the Sith. So,
so it's not Rebels.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a TV movie. It's a Star Wars movie on TV, basically.
People were getting smoked every episode of Clone Wars. So,
which is surprising that they actually had a TV7 or whatever rating it was. Yeah.
So,
Now there was a line though in the new trailer. Warner says he says something about the revolution.
Yeah, he referred to it as revolution. Yeah,
and now was he talking about? I'm assuming he was talking about the rebellion, right?
Yeah,
but he says they did something about what they did to your people. Mm-hmm. So is he referring to what the Empire did?
I assumed it was. That's the connection that I made. Because if you do watch Rebels, you know that the Mandalorians were partner / enslaved, taken advantage of kind of thing. There was the Concord Dawn arc.
Yes.
So there were Imperial Mandalorians, but then obviously they were enslaving that planet in a way. So yeah, I think that's what he was meaning.
So that again, that brings me to my next thought is that I think it's possible that at this point in time, because now you're about 10 years from Rebels at that point, right? You're right, roughly.
Sure. Yeah.
So in that time period during the rebellion, the Empire, because again, the last time we saw Bo-Katan, she got handed the saber, the dark saber, and she was kind of uniting the clans, right?
Right.
I mean, there could have been, like you said, like some massive just takedown of Mandalore by the Empire, and a lot of Mandalorians may have been killed. Mm-hmm. Who knows where the dark saber is now? And that could be what he ultimately goes to search for too.
That
the dark saber.
I didn't even think about that, honestly. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The item could be the dark saber.
It could be.
Gosh, wow, yeah.
You imagine, like in season 3, he's wielding the dark saber.
Yeah. That's all I want now.
I know. I mean, if we have learned anything from Filoni,
Yeah.
I think we're going there. That's. I would say that I think we're going
Filoni
there.
is actually really. If you guys haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels, because you don't get into that, that's fine. But like, Filoni's good at creating satisfaction in Star Wars stories, where it's like Last Jedi. I liked Last Jedi. It just wasn't 100% satisfying because obviously things didn't happen the way people wanted them to happen. They didn't. It's the way I see it, it's like Marvel movies, like especially like Endgame, had so many fanboy moments, fan service moments, but it was very satisfying to the story. And I think Filoni's really good at that, of creating very rich stories, but also really cool moments, like not too fan servicey, but just really cool action, moments that are very satisfaction to the story. So like nothing cooler to see a full on Jedi Mandalorian wielding a dark saber, chopping down stormtroopers. It's like, golly. But Filoni would do it.
I think he would.
Him and Jon Favreau would do it.
Yeah, and then of course he'd have to fight someone else with a lightsaber. So there's probably like an Inquisitor still around, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Maybe. It doesn't have to be. I guess it doesn't have to be another lightsaber, but because there's tons of weapons out there that I think that can withstand.
That's right.
Sabers. So. But yeah, absolutely, that would be.
Yeah, I think we're going there. And a real quick example that comes to mind, like what you're talking about, is he gives people that fan service of, okay, I'm going to put in an episode of Rebels Obi-Wan facing Darth Maul again.
Yeah,
right. But it wasn't the way we all wanted it to be, which is this long drawn out fight.
Sure.
So he fan serviced it, but then made it part of this. He dedicated itself to the growth of these characters, where Obi-Wan is going to know how to defeat this guy.
Yeah,
and it totally made perfect sense.
Absolutely. Like, dang it! Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that'd be cool. I had another point, but I lost it.
But
yeah.
So anyway, there's a little more talk about the show than I anticipated, but a lot of great shots in there. There looks like to be a big. We saw what we think, I guess, is a shot of an Ugnaught that is Nick Nolte.
Yes,
They released character posters. Mm-hmm. They made one of the Ugnaught. I'm assuming he now has a bigger role than I think we're hearing, because we just never really heard how big his role is.
Right. He might be his.
I think he's an engineer or something like that. Yeah. That seems like what the Ugnaughts are
on the ship there. Yeah, something mechanic.
And but there's a lot of good sweeping wide shots that are in here of ships, and I guess, is that a big reek that he's fighting or something?
I thought it was like a moldy dewback or something, but it has horns, doesn't it?
I think it looks like one of those reeks, isn't it? That kind of.
You might be right there.
From when the Anakin jumps on in Attack of the Clones, but it looks like he's like, I don't know if he's like malnourished or something like that. I don't know. We get that same shot of the Quarren that he's pulling through the gate, or the opening of the.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you notice that he got shot 2 times in this trailer, but it doesn't phase him?
Is it bouncing off him?
Yeah. Like when he walks out the stormtroopers, one shot hits him in the shoulder. Mm-hmm. This Quarren shoots him right in the chest, and it just kind of bounces off. I'm like, man, this guy.
What, he got Captain Phasma armor?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, he's pretty bulletproof. Anyway, again, 100 or a minute 44 trailer. It was good. I think a little exciting, repeat shots, but we still haven't heard anything. No one's heard Carl Weathers speak yet. We did.
Yeah.
No one's heard Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, speak yet.
Right.
We barely heard. We heard 2 words from Pedro.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we haven't
They're
heard.
doing a good job of hiding.
I mean, I think they are
all across the board.
I think you're right. I think they're hiding. I think they're truly trying to hide something. Mm-hmm. and I think it's going to get unloaded the first episode, and hopefully that makes everybody come and watch. Unfortunately, you have to have Disney Plus to watch this thing, so go get Disney Plus if you want to.
Yeah, you can still pre-order
right now. Yep. So the Mandalorian trailer, that's that. Mandalorian podcast, look that up. We'll be talking about that on there. Okay, so some quick news, other news. I don't know if we should spend too much time on this, but some big news broke the other day, which was the news about Benioff and Weiss. I mean, it's kind of getting touted as they're leaving Star Wars, but somehow, I mean, obviously they're not. Basically, they're not going to be working on their planned trilogy.
Yeah,
which everybody was anticipating it being surrounded around the time of the Knights of the Old Republic, because that was an article out there. I kind of reread it the other day too about. I mean, it was announced that there was a script being worked on at that point.
Yeah,
now, I don't know if it was fully connected that they were working on
it. Right. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think this is as big of a blow as some people are making it out to be?
No, I
mean, some people are actually relieved.
That's the part that bummed me out the most. When I was reading about it yesterday, because I have not watched all of Game of Thrones, so I can't obviously speak to the disappointment that some people felt of this last season. That's all I've heard about. Most of the time is how people are disappointed with it. So I get I get some people are probably relieved based on Game of Thrones, but I mean they seem to be very successful. I was excited for a potential new era of Star Wars storytelling. So I am saddened that their stories aren't going to be told. I'm curious to even know what they officially were, but hopefully it's a matter. I mean, hopefully it's just a case of they have Lucasfilm has the stories, they have the outline where they wanted these stories to go. They just need a new creative behind it. Hopefully that's the case, and we still get those stories. It'll just be a different kind of aesthetic behind it, perhaps. But no, I don't think it's going to be a huge blow. I mean, Lucasfilm will be fine. Star Wars will survive, but it is very sad. And I mean, hopefully they'll get another shot later on once they get a handle on this Netflix deal. They can come back.
Hopefully they keep the same release dates regardless of what comes out.
That's true. That's the big that's true, because that's where I thought the article that I read, it talked about a mutual departure between Kathleen or Lucasfilm and Benioff and Weiss, but you gotta think it has put them in a hole, the Lucasfilm, because they had already slated these films for these release dates.
Yeah.
So
and they were opposite. They were opposite the years that Avatar was coming out. So it's
they've got to do something now.
They're
They're in a pinch. I would think.
Yeah, and it's not because it's not till 3 years, right?
2022.
Right? 3 years from this December. So, I mean, you have a lot of content that's coming. Disney Plus. I mean, we're getting Mandalorian, Clone Wars, Cassian, Obi-Wan.
I mean, who knows what's happening with Rian Johnson's movies?
Yes.
Maybe that's going to be...
That's probably replacing that,
up, maybe. Who knows?
Right.
I think it's in limbo, I feel like, but I don't know.
and I still think that it's possible. Now, maybe it's not likely, but it's possible that you could get Star Wars movies on Disney Plus.
I expect it to.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love that.
That aren't, $150, $200 million movies. They're just $10 million movies, $50 million movies, whatever.
Absolutely. What's Mandalorian's budget? Like $100 million, something like that?
It's I think it's 10 per, so maybe 80 million.
Yeah. I mean, and so far the trailers look fantastic. So
right.
I think you can definitely make heck, the original, the prequel trilogy were all $125 million movies. So you can definitely make a smaller budgeted Star Wars movie.
You definitely could. So I think that's definitely in the works. But the movie wise, I mean, I think they want to explore the Old Republic. Yeah. I think they know fans are screaming for it.
Yeah.
So, or if it's that 1,000 years time period or something like that. So we'll see. But that's Benioff and Weiss. Again, they got a big Netflix deal, so you'll be seeing a bunch of movies that they're putting on Netflix.
Yeah.
Now, real quick on the Rise of Skywalker, I did want to mention if everybody follows Kevin Smith, he has a reaction video out on his YouTube channel that came out the other day. It's funny because I was telling Casey it's 13 minutes long. Where the trailer's only 2 minutes, but he keeps talking. He keeps narrating it, and reaction videos are just that. You're supposed to just react to it, right?
Yeah.
He keeps narrating it and then he misses things, so he starts it over. And he does that, and he's like blazed while he's doing it. So it's like it's really funny. So just watch it just for the comedy part of it. But he did bring up a couple things that I wanted to mention. One, do you remember back sometime early summer or whenever they were shooting? I had told you that I heard on his podcast that he had talked about being on set during a scene, and someone he said this in his podcast, and people wrote articles about it. That he was there and he described a career moment for a person, right? And people started assuming like who could it be? It's got to be Luke. It can't be Carrie because she's passed. Yeah, has to be Mark Hamill. Well, maybe it's not Mark Hamill. Maybe it's Ray. No, but he's talking about career, so it has to be someone older. Well, he tells everybody what it was. Yeah, and it was that moment with Anthony Daniels. Gotcha. Doing the last look at my friends kind of thing. Yeah, he said he was bawling on set because he said they did that about 7-8 times. Yeah. And he said it was beautiful. He said it was like this. It was basically like the Anthony Daniels send off. Yeah, this is his last. And he's been there through every movie. So that was that. That was pretty cool. The other thing, which I thought was incredible, he revealed that while he was on set, there was a couple of other crew members that were saying, "Oh, you think that's cool?" This where they were. He's like, "You need to go to stage so and so and look at that set." And he was like, "Really? Okay." So he said he was talking to JJ shortly after, and he said, "So these guys were telling me that I need to go check out so and so.
Those guys are fired."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And JJ goes, "Oh, well, Kevin, here, I'll tell you what." I was like, "You can go look," but he goes, "I'm going to warn you." That's the last shot of the movie.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't do it.
So if you want to save yourself from knowing the last set of the movie and the reveals, he's like, I wouldn't see it, but you're welcome to see it. And Kevin's like, dang it. He's like, and he decided, he's like, I didn't go see it.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my
he goes, I'm going to wait and see it like everybody else. What would you do?
I wouldn't have seen it.
I wouldn't have seen it.
But it's like, it's a win. It's a win-win because you're not spoiled, and yet you have that friendship with JJ to him just to be able to say, yeah, you can go see it if you want, man. Like, what the heck?
That's some trust.
That's very much
from a guy that talks for a living.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like Kevin, but Kevin does a good job actually of not revealing anything because he knew months in advance about his Mallrats cameo in Endgame. Or not Endgame, Captain Marvel.
Right.
Like he never said anything. There's the whole Masters Universe thing that he's been keeping under wraps for months. Until when he's told he can't say anything. Yeah, he can't say it. I'm sure he signed something like, going on set anyway, right?
Yeah, and it's like totally unassuming. Like you wouldn't even have thought to speculate that he was doing those things. Or that's cool.
So anyway, that was really neat. I don't know. Now that you've watched it 100 times, anything else from the trailer or anything else that's kind of stood out from you?
No, I mean,
I don't think so
it's
either.
At this point where I'm like thinking these crazy harebrained speculations of like, oh, maybe this happens, and like, no, that's not going to happen. So, no, nothing really new. I mean, I'm reading more people's reaction and speculation about Anthony Daniels and how a lot of people were running with the idea that is like the last time we kind of get that C-3PO, where he in a sense dies, I guess, somewhere in the movie. I don't think that necessarily means 100% that he's going to be gone. I think that is the moment where he, I guess, gets reprogrammed or something, or his protocol gets messed with, and we get the red eyes C-3PO with carrying maybe even a bowcaster or whatever. But like, I mean, I don't think that means that's the end, but it could. It very well could be the end of C-3PO. But
I think it might be.
Yeah,
I think it might be.
It's gonna be a hard movie, man.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really stood out for me that contradicts a lot of people what they were saying, because I think I've read a lot of people saying that it doesn't make sense that there's horses running on Star Destroyers in space.
So tired of that.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you really watch, especially the teaser trailer, where you first see the Star Destroyers, because that's the first time we saw like this massive fleet of Star Destroyers, right?
Yeah.
If you watch that again, the lightning's above them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's clear that they're not out of the atmosphere, right? That they're in the sky, but they're above the land and not in space.
Yeah, I mean,
because you don't see a star line anywhere,
right? Yeah, you think you compare shots like that to the shot of what I'm calling the Spaceberg, which I think is Kaijimi, like the big floating ice thing in space with the ties flying to it. That's in space.
Yes,
it's black. You see stars. It's a little tiny, looks like an iceberg in space that people have colonized. And I guess I'm assuming that's Kaijimi. That's in space, where it looks like all the lightning scenes is somewhere on a planet or right above atmosphere or something like that, or right at the edge of atmosphere, perhaps.
Even when the Falcon drops in, like it's not dark black behind them. Yeah, like it seems like that they're in that part of the atmosphere as well. So. So anyway, I think that's.
I mean, there's ways around it. Like you can write in the shield. If a Star Destroyer, you can. It's like a 10-foot ceiling where you can breathe in it. I don't know. I mean, heck.
No, I just think they're not.
Yeah, they're not in space.
There's gravity still.
Maybe the ears should be popping or something. Who knows? If it's like it's first. It's also I hate to be one that says this, because a lot of people say it, but like it's science fiction in a way.
Yes.
Even though it's not true science fiction, but it's still.
Now,
it's fantasy. There you go. It's fantasy.
It's fantasy. Now, how they get horses on top of a Star Destroyer, like I have no idea about that.
That's that's where my speculation is starting to form of like the order of events of how it gets to that point. That's because I have very little to go off of. I read no rumors or spoilers, so I go based off all the trailers, and that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm starting to form something. But
same here, and we'll form a lot more. I think going over. Like we said, just dropped the other day. Was that yesterday or today? The Jedi Fallen Order trailer? I think that was today, right?
It was today.
So the Jedi Fallen Order launch trailer is what they're calling it. Dropped today, and it just kind of it's like a quick 30 or 60-second spot, basically, that kind of, had your, what do you call it, reviews from different publications and different gaming sites that are raving about it, apparently. So I don't know.
I thought
heighten your excitement on this one too?
A little bit. It made me more secure because, granted, when they show you the very early stuff, I'm assuming it's not fully rendered. The finishing touches, the textures haven't been completely added yet. I think this trailer that we got today has the best looking trailer in terms of the graphics. Looks great. So I'm much more at ease about that. The fighting looks great. It wasn't all gameplay footage. It was some cut scenes mixed with gameplay footage. But what I saw of the gameplay footage looked cool because it had some shots of Cal Kestis walking in the cockpit of his ship, coming. It's in hyperspace, coming out of hyperspace there. So that was gameplay footage. It looked great. It got me excited to think of like the open world nature of the game and how you can just kind of planet hop from one planet to the next and do a bunch of side quests and all that stuff. I'm just very excited about that. That's what we've been wanting for a while, and we're finally getting it. Pumped about that. But no, it didn't get me like Mandalorian. It did get me more excited overall. I'm generally pretty excited about the game. I don't know if I'll be able to get it when it comes out, but I will get it and I'll play the heck out of it for sure at some point. But I'm very excited. It's weird that we haven't gotten any more of Saw Gerrera besides that one trailer, so he may not be in it very much.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There was probably the coolest thing from this trailer, which got me speculating. I talked a little bit about Cody today. There's a shot. If you go on Star Wars website, they do like the 5 things to take the 5 highlights from the trailer kind of thing. One of them, there was a moment in the trailer of a red robed character. The Star Wars is calling it Mysterious Guardian. All she says is, "You trespass Jedi." So if you look at her, if you really pay attention on her, because she's on it very quickly,
She looks like a Night Sister, doesn't she?
Exactly. That's what I was going
Yes.
to say. I didn't think about it. Cody brought it to my attention. She looks a lot like a Night Sister. She has the markings on the face. She wears the red robes because I had to look it up, and pretty much all the Night Sisters were red.
Yes.
And they all have markings on their face. So she looks exactly like a Night Sister to me, which I think people have speculated before. I've definitely speculated it with Cody about talking about, you know, in the time period this game takes place. It's well within the possibilities that Cal goes to Dathomir. Maybe he runs into Maul. Who knows? I don't know. He could definitely go to Dathomir.
Definitely.
I think. And go to Dathomir and run into a Night Sister and have some stuff there. That would be super cool.
That's interesting.
Super cool. Once again, you're adding a character in this time period where it's like you're throwing him in the sandbox of this underworld kind of dark time era where you can do so much with these characters, but we'll see what happens with Cal at the end of this game because who knows?
Who knows? But that's launching on the 15th of December. Now, one side note that I saw that EA Sports, or not EA Sports, but EA Games, they tweeted out just earlier tonight that if you pre-order the game, you get to play as Cal with a orange-bladed lightsaber.
Okay.
So I tweeted out there to him, and I said to Matt Martin retweeted it.
Okay.
And said, or he just retweeted it, and so I replied to that retweet to Matt Martin, and I said this: "So, Matt Martin, orange will be an official lightsaber color? Question mark. Hope so, because that would be awesome to get an orange crystal at Galaxy's Edge."
Yeah.
And so I started this little thread then, and he actually replied right away and said, "It's not the air quotes real color of Cal's saber." Right?
Yeah.
It's just the skin, basically.
Yes. Yes, technically, yes.
Now, another user that replied, he goes by the name of Toasted Zen. He replied and said, "Indeed, but also you should pick up Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray."
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember this, but he says, "And in the novel, you will discover that orange lightsabers do exist in the new canon, but perhaps not the way you think."
They're not kyber crystals.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I remembered they were different. They're called color crystals.
Yeah.
And I remember that, but I forgot that they gave it an orange hue.
Right.
So because Obi-Wan temporarily put one in his saber because they actually figured out. I'm kind of giving it away.
I mean, it's
been out for a while.
It's a small part of the story.
But they discovered that blade was cutting through the shields that they couldn't do before.
Yeah,
So it's basically a low-powered energies. Yeah.
It's a pretty strong, like, the bad guys were using this energy to create
Colon crystal, yeah.
to create kind of, I don't know, super weapons is not a way to put it, but creating
a defense against lightsabers.
Yeah.
Because that crystal created a shield that the lightsaber blades couldn't go through. But if you put this crystal in a saber, it then actually goes through the shield.
Yeah.
And it could be created an orange blade. So, yes, they do exist, but they're not... and they say the colon crystals are very similar in weight and everything to Kybers, but they're not as attuned to the Force as Kyber crystals are. So, anyway, a little history lesson on... but thanks for Matt Martin. I know you're listening. Thanks for Matt Martin for replying and reminding me, and everybody else kind of reminding me of...
everyone else saying the same thing. Dave.
Yeah. Check out the orange saber in Master and Apprentice.
Yeah, but I'm talking about kyber crystal orange sabers. Like, is that real?
Is that going to be a real thing? It doesn't look like it's going to be.
Yeah.
So we're stuck with the normal colors.
We got yellow.
Although we got the yellow now. Yeah. So
white, technically.
And white. Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty cool. See, another thing I wanted to mention today, which I real briefly, and I know you're going to experience this tomorrow.
No.
I finally started playing a little bit of Vader Immortal, the VR game. So I didn't realize this, and maybe it's been for a while. It probably has been for a while. I just realized because we have an Oculus Rift at the office, but not an Oculus Quest, which is what it came out on first.
Right.
And I'm debating on, man, am I going to get one for Christmas or, something like that? Or just buy it. I don't know, whatever. But I just didn't know because I didn't want to just buy it for Vader, right? So
sure. Well, there's cool games out there.
There are. But I just happened to find out today. I was like, wait, is it listed on the Rift now? It is.
Ran down the hallway.
Yes. So immediately bought it. And we downloaded it, and I started playing it, and I'm telling you, it is incredible. It is incredible, and the story is really intriguing. But I didn't anticipate it looking as good as it did. Now you did the test one, didn't you? At Celebration?
Yeah, I don't know how much. I assume all of it's in the first episode. Mainly the part that I did. You're this character you're confronted by Vader to open up this box, and then you're taken to a training room. That's it.
Okay. So that part happened where he handed me the box, and I opened the box, and then I got as far as I just found the lightsaber, and I picked up the lightsaber, used it, and then I went and saw. Okay, so I got to tell you this. Well, no, should I tell you this part? Or wait till
no, it's fine.
Okay, so
I mean, it's not the end. Are you telling me the end?
No. This is in the first. I don't even know how long this thing is.
20 minute? Is it like a 20-ish minute?
I don't know. I mean, I probably did what, like 10, I did like 10, 15 minutes. I felt like.
Okay.
And I don't feel like I even scratched the surface. I guess
you didn't beat the whole thing.
No.
Oh,
I
for
paused
first episode?
it and left. That's why I'm saying I will talk more about it next week when we both go through it.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do got to say that I actually freaked out about, and. Spoiler, I guess. Nah, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I'm just going to talk about it. So if you want to skip 5 minutes ahead. So you're kind of after you get the saber, you're kind of ducking around you're trying to escape Vader's castle. Is basically what you're doing. So I'm going around this, and I come to where I'm looking through these vents, this vent, and there's Vader talking to some. You've seen him in the trailer, some cloaked figure.
Okay, yeah.
And he's talking about how the box that I'm the only one they've discovered I'm some descendant of something.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm the first one that they found that can open this box. So and then in front of him is this like big. It looks like just a big mountain, the big stone block, like a big kind of pyramid looking stone block, and it's shiny. It's really like so. He says, leave me. And then he gets on his knees, Vader. I'm literally watching this. This is crazy. He gets down on his knees, takes his helmet off. Jeez. And it's freaking Anakin speaking. His voice, it's either Hayden or it's either Matt Lanter.
Huh.
It sounded kind of like Matt Lanter, but
Probably,
he says,
wow.
He says, Padme. Oh. Do you remember the comic?
Yeah, he tries to get her back.
He's trying to get her back. That's the whole point of building the castle.
Right.
Was he's trying to open the doorway to save her life. And all of a sudden, I hear Padme's voice. And it's from the movie.
Okay.
It's from her I think she says it's the whole part of Anakin,
Revenge of the Sith.
Yes,
you're breaking my heart.
I think. I was so stunned. I can't. But he reaches out and touches this stone, and all of a sudden it kind of goes away, and he gets all mad, and like the Force kind of destroys stuff around him. And then the blinds shut, and then I have to go. And I'm like, what the heck did I just see?
Yeah.
Like that is crazy.
That's pretty big. Ugh.
So you got to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I got to spend time.
I mean, there's 2 episodes out now, right? Or is the second one?
So this is the first one. Yeah. There's 2 now. So once we get through the first one, we'll do episode 2. So that's Vader Immortal. I'm telling you, if you get a chance to do it, do it.
So did you have to like say how do you hit the section off his office? Like you have to like map out like a certain perimeter for that game?
You don't map it out, but like I guess it might have been.
Does it just tell you move too far?
Well, there's a barrier that comes up if you go too far. Yeah, it kind of shuts you off. But see, I chose. Now there's different modes you can choose. Like I chose the one that's like sensitive to movement. Like
sure.
So I don't know if that's different. How much different that is? Maybe you get to move more, a little bit more when you. But all mine is like move here, and it kind of flashes on the floor, and then it moves there.
Okay.
So I don't have any move, but I don't think you could do that anyway because there's some long hallways you got to go down.
Yeah,
and you're constantly just
like the test that I did. You can take a few steps.
Yeah, you can take a few steps.
Yeah.
So it might be the same thing. I think maybe the movement, like when you're on the skiff or something like that, it might be smoother than maybe I don't know.
Because Corey was like when he did it, he was all over the place. I think he almost ran into the guy that was like monitoring him. He's flipping around doing his Darth Maul stuff.
I mean, it's probably I want to watch you do it because I'm like I'm sure I look weird trying to like I'm looking at of course I'm looking at everything around.
It's like how can you not when you're doing VR?
Yes.
Because when I do the test, like it's like I feel like more than real life, I have to like turn around more. I feel like it's like I don't want to, but I feel like I have to.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. So I'm looking forward to playing that more tomorrow. Okay, some quick announcements. Else too. The early reviews are coming out now. The embargo has been lifted on the Resistance Reborn, which is a book that's coming out next Tuesday, November 5th. And that is the book. See, now I've read a couple of reviews and heard a couple of reviews. The one big surprise that I've read, and I don't know if you've read anything on it, but this book actually takes place, it starts literally a few days after The Last Jedi. It only lasts for about a week.
Jeez. Yeah.
So this is not the full gap between Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. It doesn't lead up to Rise of Skywalker. It literally is the beginning of them rebuilding the Resistance. You find out like why people didn't respond right away to the message that Leia sent from Crate. You find out where Snap is and Wedge and these other pilots. And in fact, one of the reviews I heard, which was from Star Wars Explained, was that you get a sense, or a lot of this, the pilot aspect of it actually comes from the Poe Dameron comic, because the Poe Dameron comic leads right into, Force Awakens and Last Jedi. So if you're following that, you kind of know where they are and what happened to them. But anyway, so Resistance Reborn.
That kind of makes me less excited.
I know, right? I mean, he said it was pretty good because there's still some things in there that are pretty surprising, and he said he didn't want to say it in a review prior to it.
I mean, the Wedge thing makes me. Once I heard that, I got really excited about it. But
yeah, they mentioned, and I've read that Shreve and
Shriv,
and is it Zay? I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
it's Aiden's daughter.
Yeah.
They actually play prominent roles in this book, not just mentions. So he did say it was a good. Star Wars Explains it. He did say it was the first book in the new canon, or the first even story in new canon that actually pulled from several stories, not just mentions, but literally like.
Well, a different
storylines,
mediums, because you get the games and books and comics and all that stuff, which is exciting.
Yeah, so it's really
cool.
Nice. And then for you comics followers out there, just remember Star Wars #1 gets rebooted in January coming up. The last Star Wars 75, I think, lands in December, which ends that series. This next Star Wars run takes place between Empire and Jedi, so go get that. That's it, man. I think that's all I had.
Yeah, that's good. It's pretty good.
Pretty good show. Got a lot to talk about there. So please let us know what your thoughts are on The Mandalorian. Benioff and Weiss, there's just so much going on right now. And we're not even in November yet, where we keep talking about like...
Man. Yeah, things heated up quite a bit this past week, but once November 12th happens, and it's just like, oh man. To the end of the year... It's nuts.
It's totally nuts. 2 weeks in The Mandalorian, 50 plus 51 days to The Rise of Skywalker. Hope you got your tickets, because I know it's selling out fast. Disney Plus, again, 2 weeks from now. And then Jedi Fallen Order 3 days after that. Resistance Reborn next week. Comics like crazy. I mean, December is going to be crazy comic start too, to the rise of Kylo Ren.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. The covers
Yes.
out for that. Oh, that looks fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I think I got to check when number 1 drops. I think number 1 drops in December, like right before.
Right before.
I
want to say the 10th or 12th,
Yes.
but okay.
Because the second issue, the preview for the second issue just dropped, and that's in January. So
yeah, there's even some there's a blurb about what that next issue is. It's very interesting. Yeah, we definitely talk about that.
yeah, I think that's smart that they're not doing it before the movie, because I think there might be some cool reveals in that. So. Okay, again, thanks for listening. Go check out the Mandalore podcast as well. Coming, I think we're going to try to do an episode or two before it drops, the show drops, just because we want to kind of do some previews, speculation stuff, like kind of like what we're doing in this show. But of course, we'll keep going throughout the weeks. We're going to keep doing our journey too. There's some topics that we want to kind of bring up still as we lead to Rise of Skywalker. But leading up to Rise of Skywalker, we've got a couple things we definitely want to do, which is a full commentary for The Last Jedi. And we've got, of course, Casey and I, traditionally we've done a big speculation episode before the movie. I don't know how much that's going to change from now until then.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're staying away. Corey apparently knows.
He's fallen.
He's done. Like I don't even want to talk to him.
Yeah. Well, it's like he told Jeb.
I know
everything, and so I've told Cody and Anthony, like, listen, Jeb cannot be in our Star Wars conversations anymore.
No,
because his reaction could tell everything.
Totally. And he'll probably just slip up and say it anyway. So
yeah,
can't be around him. No. I avoid it, because apparently there's a lot of stuff floating around. That's the end of the movie.
Absolutely.
That's images. Yeah. So if you don't want to know anything, I'd suggest stay away from it. All right. Thanks, everybody. InsideTheForce.com. And you can follow us at Inside the Force and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all that stuff. Go listen to the podcast and subscribe, all that stuff. For Casey Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
Have a great week. See you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. May the Force be with you.